Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat Five segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. What is up? Welcome back to Big Fat Five, a podcast financially supported by Big Fat Snare Drum. My name is Ben Hilsinger, and this week's guest is Curt Bisquera, aka Kirkee B. He's played with so many great artists such as Elton John, Mick Jagger, Tom Petty, Sarah McLachlan, Lana Del Ray, Johnny Cash, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. His pocket is deep, and his stories are endless and fun. This is actually Kirkee B's second appearance on the show. I had him on a few years back to discuss 5 defining moments in his own recording career, but this time he discusses the 5 records that shaped him into one of the go-to session players in LA. I love him, he's a ball, and I hope you enjoy my chat with the one and only Curt Bisquera, but I wanted to get some housekeeping out of the way. So I'm figuring this all out as I go along, and so I've changed the submission process for the listener picks. I really love this segment, and I think it's really important for the show, but the whole voicemail situation wasn't really giving me the quality of audio that I require, so I've made a cute little form. It's pretty much identical to the forms I send our guests. It should be in the show notes of every episode if I've done my job right, and you can find the link there. Just fill out the prompts and I will read it aloud myself during the shows and play the song of your choice. Should be simple enough, but I'll probably change my mind eventually, but whatever, don't judge me. Just participate, and every little while I'll choose a winner for something fun, and you can trust me because I'm a fun guy. Okay, on with the show. Kirkee B!
Life is rich, but it's way too short. You make a lot of money, but you just want more. You don't need the pain right here in my heart, but I hate every minute when we're so far apart. Love in a minute, it was love in a flash. It brings no pleasure.
Before we get into your Big Fat Five, I do want to talk about or ask you, what was your specific plan of attack when curating these specific songs?
Well, I had to go back into my teen years because I think that's when I was most influenced. And I just remember the feeling of hearing these drummers over and over again, and the songs over and over again. And what exactly brought me to where I am today as a touring drummer, studio drummer, an engineer, producer, songwriter, it just inspired me from so many different angles. And so that's where I was kind of coming from with these 5, just how it made me feel and what it meant to me then and now.
I love it. All right. So let's do the album's Yellow Jackets. The artist is Yellow Jackets. Released year is 1981. The drummer is Ricky Lawson, who's not talked a lot about on this podcast, so I'm happy whenever someone brings him up. And Matinee Idol is the key track, but of course, listen to the whole record. But yeah, what about this record stood out to you, and when did it come into your life and all that jazz?
Well, let's see. I think it was released in 81. So I was a junior in high school. All right, I can admit this. Pretty funny. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 3. My eldest brother, he's been passed away now for a few years, but during that time in high school, I found where he stashed his bong and his weed.
Nice.
So my mom had a day gig and my two brothers were already out of the house, but my brother kept a room at my mom's house where I lived. And of course, that's where I found his bong and weed. And I remember getting the first Yellow Jackets record, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to take a hit from his bong and I'm going to listen to the Yellow Jackets record. And I did it in the morning before school. And I thought, oh man, I'll do a hit of weed, listen to the Yellow Jackets, and then go to school. Well, I did one hit of weed. I put the headphones on and woke up at noon. So I missed all first through fourth period, in high school. And I was like, screw it. So I ditched school that day and listened over and over to that first Yellow Jackets record. And I don't think it was the cannabis that was doing the thinking for me, but I just remember listening to Ricky and how his execution of the drums were so precise, yet really groovy. And where he hit the drums was always the same, almost to the point where it sounded like a machine, but it wasn't. He just had impeccable time. And the engineer, Al Schmidt, and the producer, Tommy LaPuma, they just had a way of making a sheen of music happen. Like it was just so slick and smooth and sexy. And when you put the headphones on, everything just seemed to gel together. And, since that duo of Tommy and Al, I haven't really heard music like that in a while. So whenever I hear that record, I get really excited.
Are there any other records that they've done together that people can go check out if they love the vibe of this record?
Yeah, I think they did the following two of the Yellow Jackets. I think they've done Diana Krall records that are more recent. But they've done so much, man. I think you just have to Google it and you'll find whoever. And, I think they even did Bublé records. Michael Bublé.
So they're not one-trick ponies. They're kind of all over the place. That's awesome.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
I was just about to say Van Halen, but that's not true. But
that they did all the Beatles records.
Yeah, right.
So where were you in your drumming journey when you listened to this? Because obviously you said that you keyed in on the drums right away, but...
Well, let's see, I was a junior in high school and I was already gigging with my mom. I had a band already in high school, gigging around town, in clubs and backyard parties and things like that. So the development of my drumming was all from like listening to records, like listening to drummers and reading their names on the album covers, thinking, man, this guy plays on a lot of records, because I'd always read these names over and over again. And I thought, man, that's what I want to do as a drummer. I want to be the guy that's on a record like that, where I'm playing all these different types of music. So that's what led me to going to Musicians Institute, PIT, to learn how to read, because I was a street player. I learned how to play by ear, but I knew how to play all of the styles of music, but I just didn't know how to write it or read it. So that was my segue into MI and studying under Ralph Humphrey and Joe Porcaro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's to go back to talking about records and seeing the drummers. That's a thing that I think the streaming world is and the kids are missing out on. So many times I go to record stores and I just turn it around and I'm like, oh, Russ Kunkel, I'm definitely going to get this record. Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's just... You can't get that in the song credits on Apple Music or Spotify. It doesn't say the players, which is unfortunate.
It's super unfortunate. I don't understand why someone didn't take out the $1 billion loan and make that happen. It drives me bonkers. I mean, it's easy to do.
And it turns you on to so much music. I mean, there's so many records that I would have never bought because I had no idea who the artist was, but I want to hear what that drummer's doing on that. And hopefully eventually it'll happen. But all right, well, let's just listen to Matinee Idol, which here we go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It's just slick. Welcome to the 1981 Tropicana Bikini Contest.
So do you remember at what song you started dozing off?
I think there were 9 tracks on this album. Probably track 7 after I flipped the record over.
Yeah. Well, that song is called It's Almost Gone, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And I was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's slick. Wow.
It's super slick. It's super 80s, but I mean, at the time, it just seemed like pop music, but without vocals. Mm-hmm. But it had hip record changes, and the grooves were a little more thick. And Ricky just, I don't know. I mean, God bless him, man. He was always so kind to me and just had nothing but words of gold to tell not only just me, but everyone out there who would ask, you know. And his studio playing is just, it's mwah.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say, you know?
Yeah, I think if my memory serves me correctly, the other drummer who brought this record up specifically was Daru Jones. And it's cool because you and Daru are stylistically different drummers, and the fact that you guys are both turned on by this record is so cool. It's just there's through lines of players that are so dissimilar. Ricky Lawson, way to go, bud.
Yeah, man, Ricky. Love you, Ricky.
Yeah. All right, so number 2, the album's Live at Disneyland. The artist is Buddy Rich. Release year, there's a bunch of them online, but around late 70s, early 80s, around there. And of course, the drummer's Buddy Rich. So take it away, and then we'll try and find a video from the performance you're talking about.
Well, it's not a specific performance per se. I didn't know how to put it in the form, but it was 1974 when my parents took me. I was a little guy, and whenever he was playing there live at the Carnation soundstage in Anaheim at the Disneyland there, we would go and see Buddy Rich. So it wasn't any particular album, but I just remember going there whenever he played and just being blown away. Just like, who is this old guy? And he's just killing. So fast forward to 1990, I'm on tour with Belinda Carlisle, and the guitar player had a tape of the bus tapes of Buddy Rich.
Yep.
Of him cussing out the band. And I was literally in tears, just sobbing. And they're like, why are you crying? I'm like, dude, that's my hero, and he's an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, and it just broke my heart. I had no idea that he was that way, but, you know, hey, I guess everyone runs their band different. But aside from his personality and his own way of putting his energy out there, his drumming, I mean, you could dispute it all day long. Yeah, but he's one of the greats by far.
Yeah, speaking of those bus tapes, and maybe you know this as well, but I'm pretty sure it was Jerry Seinfeld. A lot of George's dad, his like exclamations and stuff were based off some of the things that Buddy said in those tapes.
Oh, I had no idea.
Or something like that. There's some sort of lore that has to do with those tapes and one of the characters that's irate in Seinfeld.
Wow.
I'll look it up and send it to you later. But yeah, it's
that's hilarious.
Famous tapes. Yeah. Well, I'm just on YouTube. There's so many performances of him at Disneyland. But is there a specific song that you'd want me to play? I see Groovin' Hard, Bugle Call Rag, Celebration, Wind Machine, Love for Sale.
Theme from West Side Story.
Sure. So he had a residency at Disneyland in his older age when he didn't want to tour as much, or what was the deal with that?
No, I think it was just one of the spots that he would hit.
Okay.
You know, whenever he did the West Coast, and he would be there over the weekend, you know, like a Fridays through Sunday kind of thing. But I just remember, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it was Josh Freese's dad that was the musical director for Disneyland. And he was responsible for bringing a lot of the talent through Disneyland. That's where I remember seeing Josh Freese for the first time. He was little, man, but he was killing. He was already killing and playing at Disneyland. I just thought, man, I want to be like that guy. Now I really want to be like him.
Yeah, we all do. Good for Josh.
I know,
well
man.
Earned.
Yeah.
So happy for him.
Me too, man.
But all right, so number 3, and I love this record. So album's What Time Is It? The artist is The Time. Release year's 1982. The key track is The Walk. And the drummer is Morris Day.
Morris Day.
Take it away, yeah.
Oh, man, Morris. I think it's quoted somewhere. Don't quote me on this, but I think Prince did say of all of the drummers that he recorded with, Morris was his guy. That always stands out in my mind. And what it really stands out in my mind was when I got the gig with Morris back in 85, he took all of us, the band, to a nightclub to go hang out. You know, it was some sort of industry thing. And the song that Prince wrote called Let's Work came on. So I'm sitting next to Morris, and Morris leans over and he goes, Kirkee B, you know that's me on drums, right? And I said, nah, man, really? And he goes, yes, I played on all of those songs. That's me. And I wasn't putting it together yet. And I'm fresh out of MI. So the most stupid question I asked him was, hey, Morris, did you play with a click with Prince? And he leans over and goes, Kirkee B, I don't need no click. I am the click. And that always stuck in my head. And now when I listen to this song, or I listen to anything that Morris recorded with Prince, or any of those Time records, he's not playing to a click. It's just so obviously grooving. And he had impeccable time that he didn't need a click. He was the click. And between him and Prince playing bass, it was just like these guys were they were untouchable.
Knowing that he said that, how'd you feel when you were playing drums for him?
Nervous, but through time, you know, he really trained me to get over all of that and trust my instincts and my time and to be on top of things. And you know, one of the things he told me, he said, once you're done working with me, you could work with anybody. And that always stuck with me. And every time I'd get a new gig with, whether it was with Elton or Tom Petty or Seal or somebody, I'd always think of Morris, because he told me that, you know, to this day, I still think about that.
All right, well, here's The Walk.
Yes.
So number 4, the album is Toto 4, and the artist is Toto. Release year's 1982, and drummer's Jeff Porcaro, and the key track. This is the record that has a lot of the songs people would know Toto from.
Right.
But you chose "Waiting for Your Love," and take it away.
So "Waiting for Your Love" has this weird ba ba ba, and then the groove goes in. And there are times when I think I have it where the one is and where he's counting it off. And sometimes I don't. I'll never know. I got to ask Lukather. I got to ask somebody, or Steve P. I got to ask one of those dudes where one is on that. But everyone's go-to track is Rosanna, of course, or Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But this track, Jeff is so slinky, man. And it's so sexy and shuffly and snaky. And it's so reminiscent of how I remember him in his personality. The guy would walk in and just take over the room based on his vibe. He had such a vibe, and we all wanted to be like him. We all had the pink round glasses. We all had the leather coat, and the vest. And, he just exuded cool. And so this groove in this song just exudes that to me, like the way he's playing it and where he puts it. And again, this is Al Schmidt engineering. So again, the drums just have this beautiful sheen, it's so even and precise. And when you listen to it on headphones, it sounds like you're actually sitting behind the kit.
I need to look into more of Al Schmidt's stuff.
Oh,
Because
my
all the
God.
records you've mentioned that he's on, that is a drum sound I obsess with. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I attribute a lot of my recording here at the house to Al, because whenever I do sessions with him, I'd always be the first to show up and the last to leave, because I'd ask him stupid questions, which I thought were stupid, but I guess they're not. But I'd say, hey, Al, how do you mic a kick drum or a tom or overheads? And he'd always take the time to tell me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, Waiting for Your Love. Here we go. Know what you mean. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million obvious reasons why it was such a travesty to lose him, but can you imagine what recorded popular music would be if we would have still had him? It would have been totally different.
I haven't told many people this. I mean, there's a few people that know this, but now the drumming community and the world will know. But Jeff called me to play on this Boz Scaggs record that he was producing. He was making the transition from drummer to producer. And I was his first choice to kind of start being on his team of cats to help him start, making records.
Wow.
And in a short time after we recorded that Boz Scaggs record, which never saw the light of day, unfortunately, he passed away, but I was going to be a part of that with him. And there isn't a day that doesn't go by where I think, God, man, had he had been a producer and was still alive and doing stuff, I think we would still hear more music produced with live drums. And the reason why I say that is because after he passed away, I remember he had passed away in 92. And I
think
remember
it was 92, yeah.
And I remember 93 turning on the radio, and all of the radio had changed. Whereas a lot of what was played in 92 was Jeff. And then 93 is more drum machines, the Lin 9000 coming into play, the DMX machine. I think had he been alive, he would have played drums on it. I would have, a bunch of us, would have still kept the flame of live drums going. So, yeah, it was really unfortunate we lost him, because I think he was going to be the golden key to keep live drums happening in the studio, for sure. There isn't a day I don't think about both Morris Day and Jeff Porcaro. I mean, those two guys were really instrumental in getting my start in my career as a drummer, and those two guys being two drummers and then have gone on to done what they've done. It's like, and for them to kind of have their eye on me and see what I've been doing and then bring me into the fold, that's pretty heavy. And I don't discount any of that.
Mm-hmm. After you graduated MIT, MI.
MIT. Listen, I can't even solder two wires together. So, yeah.
After you graduated MI, how integral was Joe Porcaro's mentorship on your life, because you were close with Jeff and whatnot?
Well, it was kind of the opposite. I mean, during my year at PIT, it was a lot of studies through Joe and Ralph and Casey Sherrill and, all the great teachers there. In talking with Joe P, he was finally broke down and told me, he said, Jeff used to come in and keep an eye on you, and I'm like, what are you saying? He said, yeah, man, he knew that you were one of the cats that were going to be coming up on the scene. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, he knew that you had what it took to become like the next studio guy.
Wow.
Which blows my mind because, Jeff was like my hero. And not only for your hero to call you on the phone to hire you for a Boss Skaggs record, here's your hero kind of before anything went down, before Morris Day, before any of that, he was coming in, spying on me, like seeing how I'm developing. And I think Joe, his mentorship and helping me learn how to read and learn different styles, and then becoming a dear friend. And then later, Jeff bringing me into the fold and taking me under his wing. God, I'm at a loss of words for that because it's surreal sometimes,
Well, it's also, it reinforces my belief that the drum community is such a beautiful community. I mean, so many other people in other industries might have seen you as the up and comer and been like, I'm going to squash this guy's career. He's going to take my gigs away. But instead, Joe and Jeff decided to become close friends with you and give you gigs. And that's
right.
That's awesome. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, and it does too, man. But that just shows character of what these guys were like. They were so willing to take the shirt off their back and hand it to you, And I wish I could say that for most of our community in music, because it's a rough community, it's very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at many NAMM shows where I could hear in a distance someone talking shit about me, but it's like, dude, why? For what? We're all different.
Yeah.
And that's what I always get blown away by is when drummers talk shit about other drummers. They're different. They're different than you. So we all have something to offer, right? I mean, that's the key factor.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're a better drummer or lesser than, whether it be technique, reading, facility, chops, soloing, so what? If you play boom, bat, boom, boom, bat, like a mofo for 5 minutes straight, you got my vote of confidence.
Yeah, and the way I always think about that is I've never heard someone who's happy about who they are talk shit about someone else. You know what I mean? So it's like when I hear that, I just go, ugh, hope you figure yourself out. That's sad.
Yeah, that's such a true statement there, Ben, what you just said. It's like people only talk shit if they're not digging themselves,
100%. Well, let's
dig
move
yourself.
on to... Yes, that'll be the tagline for this episode. So this is, we're doing a 180, so I'm so happy. The album's Group Sex. The artist is Circle Jerks. Yeah, released here's 91. Oh, sorry, 81. Released here's 81. And the drummer is Lucky Lair.
Lucky Lair.
Lucky Lair, awesome. I really don't know. I know the band Circle Jerks, but I don't know much about Lucky. So, and you said that a key track to listen to is Red Tape, but take it away, and then we'll listen to some Circle Jerks.
Okay, so the Jerks, if like me, I grew up in California, still here, skateboarder till my dying day. First gen, second gen punk was the stuff to listen to while you're skating. And I remember going to the Marina Del Rey skate park. They had a stereo speaker system in the dog bowl, and they were playing the song. And I remember a lot of the Dogtown skaters, Tony Alva, Jim Muir, Jay Adams, Bob Biniak, all those guys were there. And this song came on, And those guys were my skate heroes, the Dogtown guys. So first of all, that it's just synonymous skateboarding and punk rock. But then I was just such a fan of Lucky's playing, for him to be able to play so precisely and so fast. Then fast forward, I met Lucky and he became a DW guy, and we became friends. As a matter of fact, I got these glasses from his family.
Oh, wow.
I went out. Yeah, his father was a optometrist, and so I got these glasses from his family at his optometry place. And but Lucky is just a badass. And here's a little side turn from the Circle Jerks. My tax guy, Keith Clark, was the third drummer in line for the Circle Jerks. I just love the Jerks for all of those reasons: taxes, punk rock, skateboarding, you know. But yeah, this song is probably the best 2 minutes you could spend of your life.
I can see, can't you see? Doing to you, doing to me. Prophecy and brutality. Killing you, killing me. Texas! 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 No more! I can see, can't you see? Doing to you, doing to me. Prophecy and brutality. Killing you, killing me. Texas! 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 No more! I can see, can't you see? Doing to you, doing to me. Bureaucracy and bourgeoisie. Murdering you, murdering me. Taxes! 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 That's not right.
I mean, come on. Maybe that was
Yeah.
a minute long.
Yeah, minute 30.
Okay, so dig this. He's a big Buddy Rich fan, Lucky.
That makes
and,
sense.
And you know, he's a really fantastic jazz player too. So go figure. But I listened to so much music, and I just remember this hitting me as hard as Yellow Jackets or Prince or The Time. You know, like it's all even to me. It's all the same. Like James Brown, Circle Jerks, TSOL, Earth, Wind and Fire. Like
Yep.
it's all the same to me. It all is exciting and feels good.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's your Big Fat Five.
Wow.
I'm so happy we got you to, I mean, I know you could probably keep going on
I
about
could
a
keep
million
going
other
on
records.
and on and on.
Exactly, I know. Self-promotion time. So if people want to be inspired by you, because you also do a lot of videos on your socials, you're still a very active drummer. If people want to kind of get to know Kirkee B a little bit, where can people get a hold of you, find you, talk to you, get some advice from you, all that jazz?
Yeah. So you could reach me on both IG and Twitter at Curt Bisq, CurtBisq. And then you could go to my website, Kirkee B Music, all one word, KIRKEEB music.com. And you can find all my discography there and this and that and the other. And if you want to get with me and hire me as a consultant or a coach, I've been doing that. I was doing a lot of that during the pandemic. I'd be more than happy to work with you. And you could email me. You can just go to my website and you could email me there. But my email is kirkeebdrum@gmail.com.
All right.
But yeah, so yeah, any I'm willing to help. You know, I think the drumming community, there was something I wanted to say.
Yeah, please.
In the drumming communities specifically, because I'll keep it there. I think there's so much, try this, try that, do this, do that. You want to learn how to chop? Do you want to learn how to read? Do you want to learn how to play with a metronome? You're supposed to try this. If you want to do that, do this. There's so much instruction that it's getting in the way of just playing drums. My biggest advice for all of you guys out there, screw all that. Don't listen, don't buy, don't subscribe. Just take a month off and go play drums, get in a band, jam with your friends, because that's what it's about. And through that, you'll find what is important. You know, maybe start taking lessons or hanging out with other musicians, guitar players, bass players, songwriters, learning that aspect of the biz, or engineers, learning how to mic your drums. You know, it's just important because I know a lot of you out there are so young and just coming up and really want to pursue this. But don't forget that it's fun first. I mean, I spent a lot of years having fun playing drums, and it wasn't until, later I realized this is what I wanted to do as my profession. But yeah, fun is first, for sure.
Amen. Coming from a guy who should be listened to. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at izotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye.